Well, howdy, folks. How's everybody doing out there? This is another Bad 66 Chevelle video here. As you can see, finally got my shed built a little bit. Been trying to get it all organized. Got a lot of my car stuff. Finally got it, where it's a lot better organized now. I got my part of my 283 collection. That's a 60 283 right there. The block's a 59. The heads are a 60 model. The one back there is a 66, and that was really special because that's what I was telling y'all about. That was cast March 19th, 1966, and the one in my Chevelle was April 19th, 1966. I basically just bought it for the block, pretty much just because the same cast number. Same as this one right here, 4810. That's a 4810 as well, still standard bore. And that's basically the only reason really why I bought it, because it's the same cast number and it's exactly 1 month apart from the one in my Chevelle. But been working on this. Got a power glide up there. I got a 3-speed right there. Another 3-speed. That's a Ford 3-speed. I got my starter collection. Got my HEI distributor collection. Got my Etzel grill. I got another head up there. I got a 57 Plymouth grill right there. If you ever get around to that project, I was planning on taking the Christine movie poster, and I found the 57 Plymouth, almost the whole front end, and it's gonna hang it up on my shed here on the wall and put a movie poster underneath of it, and just do something kind of neat like that. There's my drop pan for my Chevelle back there. But this side is pretty much done. Got my shelves built, and built a little kind of crawl space up there. It's hard to see it, but it's a little crawl space up there. And this side I haven't done yet. This side, it's a 10 by 10 shed, believe it or not. But I'm gonna build some shelves on this side here, and I'm gonna have a little bench where I can work on stuff. If I'm working on transmissions or whatever, I can sit them on top and work on them. And I'm gonna put me a window in eventually right there, so I can put me a window AC unit in. Keep it cool during the summer, but it just takes time. So I'm gonna build me 2 shelves right there, and cause I got a lot more car stuff I wanna put in here and get organized, so I get it all in order and get it all out of my kitchen there. But that's not really why we're making this video here. This is the main reason why I'm making it. This is another 66 283. I bought this one for $100 for my 67 Chevelle. Actually, at one time it was, and then now never did get around to doing it because I ended up buying the one back that I recovered, that I sold a long time ago. I got one video of that car. It's a 2-door post, and it's a 66 Chevelle. And I bought that motor and ended up recovering it and putting it in that car because it had a lot of sentimental value. And then I bought this one a little bit before. I ended up recovering that other 283, and it's pretty much ain't really did nothing with it. The only thing I did is I took it up, and a couple years ago I took it up and had everything cleaned and magnafluxed. And I mean, nothing was really wrong with it. It's all still standard bore, standard crank, standard main bearings, rod bearings, cam bearings, everything's still standard. Long story short, on this hit on the passenger side, it's really unfortunate what happened, but my buddy, what had happened in a lot of the valves, this motor, it would turn over, but some of the valves were sticking. And what I did is I took it to my buddy's house, which was a mistake. But long story short, we ended up getting all the valves, got all the springs and all off of it. Then there's 2 of the valves in the center here. This is not the head that it happened on. But long story short, my buddy there decided to get a sledgehammer and beat the valves out. When he did that, he chipped one of the valve guides. And long story short, the way he chipped it off like that, it pretty much split it completely down into the top of the cylinder head here, and pretty much had to throw away the head. Because even if you would have put a valve guide in it, I wouldn't have been leery about it, which really is a shame. Because this 283, other than this head on this passenger side here, is all matching other than that. Everything was cast February the 8th, 1966. The block is, this head over here is, I'll show y'all. I bought this motor for 100 bucks. There it is right there. February the 8th, 1966. These are 4512s. February 8th, 66. Y'all can make that out there. Long story short here, it was all numbers matched except for that head over there. So I bought a replacement head for it. I think I gave like $100 for it. Something like that. And it's really unfortunate, but you know, I wasn't going to let that stop me. So I bought this head for it. And the guides, I mean, yeah, you know, some of them are okay, and some of them are really needed valve guides, but I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to put a lot of money into it. I mean, they were still within tolerance enough, so I think it'll be alright. Anyway, long story short, tore it completely down. Got this head right here. This is a 65 head. It's the same cast number as the other one, the 4512. But it's actually, technically, this would be considered an early 66. But anyway. Got that head to replace the one that my buddy decided and took a sledgehammer and beating the valves out and chipped the valve guide. And took it up, got it clean, got everything magnafluxed, everything looked really, really good. And then it basically sat for a couple years. Ain't really did nothing with it. And then I finally built this shed here. I mean, it's not perfect in no way, shape, or form. But, you know, it does the job. I want to have somewhere to work. Got tired of working inside. You know, I want to clean up, get my house cleaned up and everything, and get everything out here where it belongs. And long story short, I finally decided to get on this 283 again. This is just something I've been doing on and off for the last, probably a few months now. Ain't really made many videos on it, but it's just something I'm doing for fun. Anyway, I pretty much pieced it together. But I took the crank up. I actually went back to the machine shop. This is a different machine shop. And I ended up getting the crank polished. So I had the crank polished. And, because I really didn't want to have it turned or nothing. I didn't want to stick a pile of money into this motor. I mean, really, it needed to be turned. You know, to clean it up real good. And I really need it to be bored. But, I mean, it'd be alright. I mean, use a little bit of oil, it'd be alright. This motor I really don't plan on putting in nothing. This is just something I'm doing for fun, really. I just want to put it together and fire it up just to hear it run. I mean, I got that transmission. I was making Turbo 350 videos on that. And I need to finish up the last few videos on that and get that valve body and all on it and get that over my truck and make a video on that. And that way I can show y'all that, you know, anybody can do this stuff. It's not that hard. The old stuff's pretty easy to work on. But anyway, it's the same thing I'm doing here. I just want to throw this 283 together here and just to hear it run. Just so I can say I did it. You know, I don't feel like laying out $2,000 on a motor. It's just ridiculous. I mean, everything cleaned up really good. But I had the crank polished. Got into polish that. Turned out really, really good. I just put standard bearings, rod and main bearings back in it. I measured the crank and all that. I mean, everything's... It really needs to be turned, theoretically, but I mean, it'd be alright. Everything was... I mean, it's not too bad. But, I mean, it's not really on the loose end or nothing, but it'd be alright. It's kind of in between. But, you know, eventually, if I want to do it right, I'll take it up and I'll get the crank turned and get the motor board and all that. But the reason why I put it together is it's still all standard. And I want to get it all together, too, because it sat so long that... You know, I didn't want the cylinder walls to get messed up to where you'd have to have it bored. So everything was still really, really clean on it. So I decided just to hone it out. I took the crank. I had it polished. And then I also had this crank upgraded too. A lot of these the 265s and the 283s. And I think some of the 327s. I don't know why Chevrolet did that. But they weren't drilled and tapped for a Harmont bouncer bolt. So when you just press the bouncer on there and that's basically it. I don't like it because, you know, I don't think anything would ever happen. But that balancer could fly off and go through your radiator. I don't like it. So I had him drill and tap this crank here for, I believe it was a 7/16 20. Pretty standard for a small block Chevrolet. I believe that's what it is. Don't quote me on that. So I took him and bolt up here. That's the one I had here. And took it up and had him match it up. So now it's 283 now. It's tapped. It is drilled and tapped for this bolt here. So now when we put our balancer on there, we don't have to worry about it. That's just mainly peace of mind. I had the crank and I had this drilled and tapped. I think he only charged like $45, something like that. It was a really, really good deal. But I had that done because I at least wanted to get that much done on it. Now I didn't want to sit there and drill it and be crooked or something. So had him do that. And of course, the thread's in there really nice. So I had him do that just to upgrade it. That's just, I mean, that's pretty easy to upgrade anyway. I was going to do that anyway. I was actually going to take this motor and have it rebuilt before I bought the other 283 and put my Chevelle, but I bought this one first, like I was saying. And then literally wasn't even maybe a few weeks later, and then that's when I found the other 283, and that's because I knew that one was good. It had been rebuilt completely. The same machine shop that polishes crank on this one here. Now the other machine shop had magnafluxed it and cleaned it and all, but long story short, you know, I want to get this one back together because I don't like them sitting around. I wish I had a crank and a set of rods to get them other two back together because I don't like them sitting like that because, you know, the longer they sit, the cylinder walls, they'll rust all up and then you're going to have to bore it. And, you know, I'd rather at least be complete. That way it keeps all the moisture out of the cylinders and everything and keep where I can fire it up because I was going to buy one of them engine cradles and throw a starter on it and fire it up every now and then. But that's what I've been doing here. So I put all new freeze plugs in it. That's basically I just pieced it together little by little the last few months. I got brass freeze plugs in it. Brass is a whole lot better. I'm going to put brass and everything from now on. Don't buy the steel one, get the brass ones. They're just a lot better. Got all that in there. I mean, everything's pretty much new other than the crank and rods. Everything's been replaced. But I bought a set of Z28 valve springs and put on here. I was reading about them, so hopefully they'll be alright with my cam. I bought a brand new Engine Tech cam put in here. Brand new cam, brand new lifters come together. It's just a stock cam. I bought everything bone stock because I don't want to be changing a bunch of stuff. But I bought these springs. These are supposed to be really good with the stock cam. And supposedly they're supposed to hold up to a little more lift. But as long as they'll work with that stock cam, it should be alright. So I bought all new valves for it. All new intake valves, exhaust valves. Bought all the springs, all the locks, the retainers and all that. I bought all that for like, I think it was $80 for the whole kit. And a lot of these rebuild kits, you know, you think you're getting everything, we'll call it, you know, quote unquote. Well, you're really not. The problem is when you buy them rebuild kits, it's everything for the short block. You know, you got to buy everything separate for the top end of it. But, so I ended up taking a honed it out. I just did a real light hone on it. I didn't want to go too crazy because, you know, it really needed to be bored. It really did because it did have a little bit of a ridge in it. But I just took a ridge reamer, cut the ridge out of it because it ain't going to hurt anyway because, I mean, eventually I plan on getting it bored, doing it right. But I took and cut the ridge out of it, honed it out. And, I mean, the ridge wasn't so severe that, you know, it's going to hurt anything. I kept reading about, really didn't want to cut it out because I kept reading about, you know, if you don't cut it out, and when you put any rings on it, re-ring it, and like I was wanting to do, you'll break the rings. Because a lot of it said you break the rings when you install the pistons, and a lot of it when you actually get everything installed on the other way. You know, as far as like installed as pressing it in with your compressor here, I was reading that you can break them with this compressor here. And then I heard about once you get everything installed actually in the block and then you're rotating the crank, you can break them the other way. So then I was like, you know, heck with it. So I cut them out. It's not going to hurt because it had me bored anyway, so it's really not going to matter. But so I cut the ridge out, honed it out. Bought all new valves, new valve springs, locks, retainers, all that good stuff. These are supposed to be Z28 springs. You know, I had heard a little something about them, but bought them because it's supposed to be stock, so hopefully they'll match the cam. It's a bone stock cam. It's basically when I typed in 66 Chevelle stock cam, that's what come up. It was the Engitech cam and Engitech lifters. Bought an Engitech double roller timing chain there, nothing really special there. And I bought a Engitech rod bearings, main bearings, bought all standard sizes, bought new standard rings for it, put all new rings on the pistons, reused the pistons, got flat top pistons in it, so I reused all of them. They're all the original pistons are still in it. You know, I didn't touch nothing with that. Actually, where it sat so long, I had to free them pistons up because they were stuck on the rod, so I had to get some PB blaster and spray the heck out of them and keep working them loose. And I finally got them all loose and got them where they were free and where they would, you know, fall on their own weight, where they tilt back and forth on their own weight. So I had to do all that. That's the other reason why I wanted to get this thing together soon too, because it sat so long. You know, I didn't want you to have to spend a pile of money on it to be boring it and everything else. So I wanted to get it all together here. But I did all that. I re-rung it, put all new bearings in it. I had a heck of a time trying to find a good video on them cam bearings. I think that was the number one thing I had the most trouble on this whole thing. Because there ain't hardly no videos whatsoever on YouTube on how to put cam bearings in a small block Chevrolet. Because you have to get them clocked a certain way and all that. And I mean, I had a heck of a time. And it made me mad because the machine shop, when they had it all cleaned to Magnaflux, they took them all out. Which, you know, it's fine and all. But if I would have had it over again, I would have told them just to leave them. Because that way, when you go to do it yourself, you can buy a new set of cam bearings and then you just do one at a time here. Because you got 5 sets. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that way, when you go back, you know, you start with the furthest one back, press that out, press your new one in, and that way you can put it in the same exact position your old one was in. That way you know it's right, especially this being all original. But, I mean, I had a heck of a time trying to make sure that, because I got a little oil feed hole on them, and I wanted to make sure they were in there right, plus it's got a groove on them. Because the journals, here's the one right here, they got a little groove in them. You can see that here. They all got a groove like that, except for the one all the way in the back. It's got one little oil feed hole. So I lined that one up, figured that one out. But the rest of them I couldn't figure out. And honestly, I didn't know if it mattered. But so I just took and I found one good video on YouTube on how to clock them. But I mean, I had a heck of a time. But this is a little off subject here. But this motor out of my truck here is out of my 89 F-150 here. And, you know, I pulled the head off of it in the previous video. The original head was cracked, so I bought this reman head for it. And my God, it was almost $500. And plus, that's counting the core and all that. By the time I took the core out, you know, it's still way on up there. I'm $300 and almost $50-some. But, ridiculous. But anyway, well, I'm going to do this motor completely different. I'm not going to do it like it's 283. I'm going to take it and I'm going to tear it down. And if I take it up to the machine shop, I'm going to tell them, I'm either going to do it 2 ways. I'm going to tell them to go on, because I'm not paying a bunch of money to have machine work done to it. It ain't worth it, in my opinion. Now, if it's like, you know, a big block, like 454 or something like that, you know, it's worth putting money into it. But it's 306 cylinder. You know, it's not worth it to me. It's a beater truck. I just want to get it going again. I pulled the motor out, got it in my building here, and I'm either going to do 2 things. Well, I take it to machine shop. I'm going to take it up there. Number one thing, I'm going to take it up there. I'm going to get them to clean it. I'll tear it all down, keep it all organized, get them clean it all, Magnaflux it, do all that good stuff. But I'm going to tell them, first thing I'm going to tell them is I'm going to tell them to leave the cam bearings in it. And I don't care if they're bad or what. Leave them the heck in there. That way when I bring it back, I'll buy the new set. And then I'll do it like I was saying on this 283. We'll work our way from the back of the motor forward there. That way when we buy the new ones, we can take and make sure they're clocked the way they're supposed to be, because they got to be in a certain position there. So that way they'll be in the right position. Because I want to learn this stuff on my own here. I don't want to sit there and be paying a bunch of money for a machine shop just to put cam bearings in. They're easy to put in. It's not the fact of putting them in. It's just the fact you got to make sure they're in the right position. That's the main thing. That's what matters the most. So that's the first thing I'll do is I'll tell them to leave them in there, so that way when I get it back I can buy my new ones, and then I can go through the same order. And then I know for a fact they're right because they run before. So I put the new ones in, I know it'll run again. So that'll be the first thing. Or the second thing, I might just bake the bullet and get them to put new ones in it. You know, it's either one of the two. But anyway, long story short here, it's got new main bearings, new rod bearings, got all new cam bearings. I had a heck of a time getting them, not really getting them in, but just making sure they're in the right position because I was scared to death. You know, you go to oil prime this thing and not get oil on top of the rockers here. You know, I'm going to be worried to death, and I don't have to sit there and tear it all down just to do that. It's ridiculous. So, I know they're right now, so had a little bit of trouble with that. And, other than that, it really wasn't that bad. So I got a new time chain cover on here. I'm going to put the original back on. There's nothing wrong with the original. A lot of times when you pull them off here, you got to look on the inside and make sure that chain ain't rubbed a little hole in it. That's what happened to my other 283 in my Chevelle, and unfortunately it rubbed a little hole in the side and put a hole in it so it would leak, so I ended up having to throw it away. Because it rubbed a hole in it so much, I mean, you really couldn't have done that much with it. But this one was perfect. I still got the original balancer, and I still got the original timing cover, so I'm going to have the original balancer. I'm going to get it sleeved, and I'm going to put the original balancer back on it, and then I'm going to put the original timing cover back on it, because it's still, I mean, the balancer's in really, really nice shape. So my idea is I want to try and put this 283 completely back original, at least on the outside, right down to the spark plug wire holders, and you know, I'm going to put all the original bolts for the timing cover back in, the valve covers, all that. I'm going to try and put it all back 100% original on the outside. That way, it keeps it original and just looks nicer. So I took and been turning the motor and over that. Been turning over and everything. Did upgrade to a comp cams lock plate here. I ain't bit my little tabs over here. And I got to torque that all spec. I just got everything snugged up. Everything's basically mocked up. I got everything snugged up. Now when I torque them down to spec, I'll use a little thread locker on there and I'll torque them to spec, and then I'll bend these little tabs over that way. You know, it'll be done right. But the only thing Machine Shop didn't do for me is I told him to, when he polished the crank and then he drilled and tapped for this bolt here, he did really good on that, but he forgot to pull my timing gear off there. So I had to pull that off myself and press this one on. I just used a little punch and punched it from each side, just go in the star pattern. That way it doesn't even, you'll hear it once it's all the way on, but as you can tell, it'll be all the way against it. But so he did really good on that. I like it. Nice and straight and everything. But you can see my little punch marks on here, but that's alright, ain't gonna hurt nothing. So I got it lined up and everything. I've been turning over, so everything lined up. So that's really nice. Here's my other mark right here. I had to rotate the crank a little bit, but when you rotate it, I'll have to rotate it 360 degrees. It'll go all the way over, then it'll be 180 out, then one more time, and then it'll line up just fine. But so you gotta line them little marks up. That ain't nothing. But this, I've been turning the crank a little bit, so I can let me pause the video here and show you all it lines up. Alright, so hang on a second, I'm gonna rotate it over. And if you listen to it, it sounds like it's got pretty decent compression. I don't really know for sure, but alright, if you look down here, it's 180 degrees out. See, we got our little dot right here. It's hard to see in the camera. There's a little dot, and then our other one is all the way up here. So that's 180 out. And then we'll do it. Rotate this thing again another 180 degrees, and they'll line up. So you can double check yourself. Alright, so it's getting ready to come back down. Here's our big dot on our time gear on the big gear here. And we got our other one right here. Hard to see it. Look a little bit further here. Alright. So we got this thing lined up here. And lined up beautiful. There's our mark right here. And then we got another mark right here. There it is. Y'all can see it here. There it is. Perfectly lined up. So anyway, they're lined up perfectly. So that's the number one thing. Make sure you get these two marks lined up here. Then when you put your distributor and all in there, it should fire right on up. But this is kind of where I'm at right now. I gotta go back and torque everything down. I mean, I got everything just snugged up for now. I got all the head bolts snugged up. You want to make sure something important here, because I'm gonna go back and when I torque them down for real, you want to go in 3 different steps. You want to do like 25 foot-pounds and like 45, and then I believe these are torqued down to 65 foot-pounds. So you want to go in 3 different steps, and the main thing too is you want to work your way from your center all the way out. So you work away from your center and spread it out. Now when you torque them down, it's evenly. That way don't crack the head or nothing like that. So always start in the center, work your way out. So you would go here and come down here, go up there, then there, and then there. You know, keep working it way out, so on and so on. That's the way you need to do it there. Same way with the main caps. When I torque them, we always start in the center here and do this one and that one. And then we'll come to this one and that one. And then we'll go up to number 2, that one, and 3. And then we'll go to our front one. And then we'll come here to this one. And then we'll torque our 5th one last. Work away from the center, spread it out. Better off that way. But all these freeze plugs are all 1 5/8, at least on this 283 anyway. But I gotta go back and I gotta retorque everything. I'm gonna get a little Loctite and put a little Loctite on all these threads here, torque all these down. They're just all snugged up. I just snugged them all down. Used plenty of assembly lube here. This is what I've used here.